Howdy folks and welcome. I hope this finds you well. Today we'll be playing through the campaign of Gears of War 3, analyzing aspects of the gameplay, visuals, sound, and of course the story, to see how Gears 3 pulls off one of the best action games of the 2000s, and it's not just an action game either. If you haven't watched my Gears Remastered or Gears 2 retrospectives yet, I highly recommend doing so since I'm building off what I had talked about previously regarding those games and the franchise itself. Links down below. Gears 3 does so many things right that the first two games hinted at. There's an insane level of polish to the details, buildings feel like they have a history, character stories intertwine with your area, destructible cover and traps while fighting, all contribute to this wonderfully dark and apocalyptic world Epic Games depicted. And that's just one side of this game. The other side is one of the most high-octane, monster-hunting, gore-splashing adventure action game I've ever played, and it's frickin' glorious. So, let's get started. Instantly, we have a callback to the first game with the camera shot. I was a little confused since at the end of Gears 2, we sank Jacinto and it seemed like humans won the war. Right, fellas? Getting out of the cell after Anya mentions your father being alive, I now could tell this is some sort of dream. It was neat seeing the prison Marcus was found in during the start of the first game.
The Locusts have broken through to his house and he called in to say goodbye.
That's kind of horrifying, but I'll be straightforward here. I didn't really enjoy this opening dream sequence when I first played. Maybe because I wasn't expecting it or I had no idea what was going on, it felt out of place for Gears.
I've got to save my research. Do you understand how important it is?
Now with the context of finishing the game and writing about it, I give this a little bit more credence to why they chose to show what's happening here. Regardless of context, the visuals were pretty striking. We get the backstory about disobeying orders and find out why he was court-martialed. Even worse from Marcus's perspective is that he couldn't save his father, which I'm sure has weighed on him a lot. It also gives some more context to when the squad made it to the Phoenix estate in the first game. Marcus probably hadn't been there since all of this transpired, and more of those lines are resonating now with new information. Gears appears on the facade to be about blood and gore, but these subtle moments add on so much to the narrative. And what a contrast to the title screen in Gears 2, which was triumphant and warmongering. Marcus now awakes enclosed within a boat. The interiors look wonderful and are a great next step in the series. We get our time frame, the sinking of Jacinto being 2 years ago, and can find two notes. The first being about how Dom is dealing with the death of Maria from the last game. I was intrigued that they put this in right at the start, since one of my gripes with Gears 2 is that Dom literally has almost zero dialogue about Maria after having to take her life. The other note from Baird about Jack, our handy robot, and the conditions on the ship which sound brutal. I don't know how long I would last without working toilets. Now, I don't know if it was me being so excited to play through the game, I missed the majority of lore bits, but out of all the games, Gears 3 felt like I had found the least amount of information about the world through papers or other miscellaneous items, and more from the dialogue. Gears 3 does have some of this, but I would have loved to seen more, especially since they give you two right at the start. On another note, I thought Gears 2 would be the pinnacle of one-liners and great retorts, but I was mistaken. Gears 3 has some of the best wild dialogue I've heard in a video game.
I think the radishes can cope without you for a while.
People slinging their best and worst throughout the adventure, and we even get an amazing cameo by a Hollywood star. For now, we see Dom has a green thumb and duty calls.
Those stocks be the creeps.
Wow, I was not expecting this at all. This is my first time playing through the game, and when I first saw the Lambent stalks, I instantly started putting two and two together. We did not win after Jacinto. To see how the Lambent have progressed from wretches in the first game to now these stalks in the ocean is horrifying to say the least, and this is just the start. We meet our first new character, Jace, and I like how the game tries to incorporate new faces during the adventure. Another neat touch I heard was the inhabitants of the ship talking about polyps.
We've been on alert for 3 months straight. No polyps.
Starting the game with a slower pace and building up the tension by being in, pardon the pun, unknown lambent waters with a new enemy type being quietly discussed is frankly refreshing. Also, I don't know if there was something I missed about Prescott, but the Gears don't seem too fond of him.
You mean ex-Chairman Prescott?
That asshole. He ran out on us 18 months ago. What's he expecting now, red carpet?
I'm waiting to find out.
And there was not too much time to dwell on that since we meet our new enemy type.
Nash, get out of there! They're behind you now!
Okay, those guys weren't too bad. Wait, what the hell is this, Resident Evil? Okay, talk about scale. From the cramped interior of the ship to going topside, Gears does an excellent job with not only the distinct and unique visuals of each level, but the geography of the levels and how the player traverses them too. We get past the scary monsters and raise the landing device for Prescott's King Raven.
Welcome to what's left of the cog.
I'll have answers for you, ladies and gentlemen. But later. I need to see Colonel Hoffman immediately.
Hoffman's been gone almost as long as you have, Chairman.
He's dead?
He left.
Prescott gives us some holodisc and goes downstairs while the ship is again attacked by these creatures. The designs for the new Lambent are very creepy, and it's not just, whoa, glowing locust like before. You can see new bone growth over the muscular structure of the once locust, almost in a parasitic way. Another neat detail about this portion of the level is how orchestrated the battlefield is, as well as the vistas behind it. The development team took time making these farm beds on the ship, showcasing the dire need for food, or the hanging laundry since the ship doesn't have any running water or, I'm assuming, dryers. And the constant stream of ruins in the background supports the apocalyptic theme, which the thesis of this video is about. 1,200 words in and sharing the thesis, high school English teachers be damned. Gears 3 is an apocalyptic triumph. Releasing after titles like Stalker, Fallout New Vegas, or Metro 2033, Gears hits a lot of marks that made those games resonate with the player. Desolate, large areas previously inhabited and now left to decay and chaos. Also, having never played Gears 3, each story beat or narrative moment was new and awe-inspiring in every sense of the word. I had no idea what was coming. After fighting off Stalks and Lambent, we upload the holodisc and get a message from none other than Adam Phoenix himself, Marcus's supposed dead father. Obviously, this complicates things since we know Marcus and him don't really have a relationship from the dialogue in the first game at the Phoenix estate, and the fact that Marcus thought he saw his father die years ago. Another interesting piece of information we get is Marcus's father talking about Sera being infected by the emulsion, the energy liquid that humans fought over for 70 years plus. He also drops the lines about being held captive by the Locust and him having tried to contact Marcus for years. If Adam Phoenix is being held captive by the Locust, how did Prescott get the holodisc? There were some aspects of the story I did not understand or questions I had that never got answered. Periodically, I'll ask them, and they aren't rhetorical, so if you have the answers, I'm all eyes and ears.
It's the emulsion that's killing it. It was always the emulsion, you see, and I can stop it. I understand it all now. I've tried to contact you over the years, but I've been ill.
Damn machine! Baird's never here when you need him.
Brace! 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 Brace for impact!
I'll figure out a way to decode the rest of that disc, Marcus. We'll find it.
Come on! Everybody get out there and finish these assholes!
We fight past more Stalks and Lambent and finally get to Prescott. Even if we don't know much about Prescott, we can tell he's an asshole. Not caring about the dead ship commander and quickly ordering Marcus and the team to secure the helicopters, I think Dom was right thinking we should have cuffed him to the radiator.
Phoenix, get down to the hangar. The helicopters are under attack. We need to get them airborne right away.
We continue to the hangar and look at the designs within the ship. There isn't a dull point, and that's pretty concurrent throughout the whole game. Thinking about newer games and especially game engines that have stores developers can just buy from, uniqueness is starting to erode in the modern age. Apart from some open areas in Gears 3, I was astonished by each interior our squad adventures through. all of them felt different and unique, while also grounding the player with the cover system. Things seem foobarred down in the hangar. Pieces are on fire, lambent are pouring out of every orifice, yet I find it kind of awesome how tangible our mission is. These are the last king ravens the cogs have, right? If they get torpedoed on the landing dock, that's not good for us. We get to our second helicopter and some kraken Resident Evil monster appears.
It's a goddamn Leviathan!
Sorry, Leviathan. Fighting this Leviathan and the subsequent special monsters that follow it throughout the game, I could not get Resident Evil 5 out of my head. In my Gears 2 retrospective during the Cave Lake fight, I mentioned it felt like Resident Evil 4. Well, fighting Stalks and some of the unique lambent later on, I could not shake the feeling that the developers loved RE5. Maybe it has something to do with how 360 games looked at the time, or maybe I'm crazy. Let me know if you had this feeling too. We take the landing dock topside to calls for an evacuation. Seems like we're not winning this one.
Yo, the whole deck's on fire!
I know I've talked about the farm beds twice now, but that's a neat detail that they've been torched by the fires. Honestly, I felt pretty bad for everyone on board. 2 years of drifting and trying to survive end up with it all burning on the seabed. But if that makes you depressed, oh boy, just you wait. Also, side bit, whoever thought it would be fun gameplay and pacing wise to have the player use a fire extinguisher missed the mark. We get our first quick peek at the creature who I believe is this cave monster from the second game, now just dolled up as a lambent. And the squad is sent tumbling down again.
That thing can't take a hit!
Ugh, I bet that hurts a lot. But my pain subsides instantly when I hear a familiar voice.
Marcus, woo, that's one big ugly motherfucker.
Cole, can you see this shit? Where's your bird?
Maybe we got a grandstand view. We're crossing the bridge right above the ship.
Any way you can kill this thing from where you are?
Putting it scientifically, we need to blow his brains out his ass.
I was wondering when the Cole train would get here. So Cole and Baird are tasked with figuring out how to blast this monster's head open, and we fight our way to the front of the ship. Now, I can't understate my amazement with some of the sequences in this game. The developers did an excellent job adapting the environment during engagements that worked on a visual and gameplay level. Take note of this gigantic statue in the background. This is an insanely cool progression of the art design in the trilogy, beautifully depicting the power and the hubris of the architects behind it. Also, a new addition to the game are Silverback, sort of mechanized infantry unit that deals a lot of damage, but are sort of clunky to use. However, I enjoyed using the mini turret and rockets. Stomping on polyps was also satisfying. The Leviathan's boss arena is spectacular. Gears 2 did a great job showcasing how huge the world of Sera is during the assault on Landdown, and Gears 3 is doing the same with these sites of derelict industrial seaports and abandoned cities.
Cole, you got one pissed Leviathan in position. You ready?
Go! Give us a minute!
Tell Baird he's just blowing shit up, not bring the goddamn symphony.
I do love the thought of dropping tickers onto this monster, but Baird and Cole must remember that killing any big lambent has some repercussions. They saw what the lambent Brumac did to Jacinto.
Duck and cover, Delta!
Baird's dropping tickers!
What the hell's he thinking? Run!
Hey, I thought you'd enjoy the witty irony of Grub on Glowy Island.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious! You're gonna blow up the whole ship, genius! Jump!
Wait, 1 hour earlier, they're pulling a narrative switch? Okay, interesting.
Remind me why we thought Hanover was a good place to look for supplies? Baby, you gotta trust the coal train to find the goods. This is my turf, Cougar's territory.
Just like the last two iterations, Gears 3 dialogue makes the game's narrative and characters shine. I've said it before and I will say it again. You feel like a part of the squad. The dynamics between the characters, their shared experiences, and the unending shitfest that awaits them at each turn creates this bond that will last with the player for a while. Cole, Baird, and the group were sent out for supplies, and I'm assuming Cole chose the location of Hanover since he exclaims that they're on his turf.
So this is home, eh, Cole?
Classy. Has it changed much since you've been away?
Hey, the whole damn world looks like this. Let's move out.
What a great line, and makes the player think how devastating this war has become. I also like the fact that we saw these port towns from Marcus's squad's point of view, and now we get to explore them for ourselves. And yeah, this is nailing the apocalyptic dark theme perfectly. After walking around a bit and taking in the scenery, we meet some stranded that aren't so friendly, and even try to barter Sam for bacon, which shame on Baird for even entertaining the idea. The stranded do talk about two other settlements, one by the port warehouse and the other by the stadium. Making our way through the destroyed city was fantastic and difficult. Getting to know the new enemy types was engaging, since I was not expecting any of this. From having to shoot newly sprouted heads off lambents, or having to flank stalks to shoot their sacks. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't think of another word for them. It was thrilling to say the least, not knowing when stalks would appear, having to deal with multiple enemy types, being fast on movement to new cover. One thing that I did struggle with, and I wonder if it was intentional, was ammo. Throughout the whole game, barring one level, I would run out of ammo on my main guns during every firefight, it seemed. Having then to pick up downed enemies' weapons and scurry around for more ammo of that type, it was something I didn't feel in either of the previous games, and I truly wonder if the developers were trying to signal that the COG are not in good shape through this gameplay aspect, which, holy moly, if that's true, that's pretty gnarly, and greatly adds to the survival feeling of the start. We head to the supermarket and have battles along the way. I was so impressed by each arena that you'll be facing enemies in. They felt much more open than in Gears 1 or 2 and had enough cover to still engage in close combat. That more open terrain lends itself to visual storytelling since you can explore more of the map. In comparison to Gears 1, where the player explored the city streets but not so much the interiors of these buildings, Gears 3 guides the player into these interior areas like the hangar on the ship or the Snack Champion grocery store that add character to the world and lore.
Huh. You ever feel like you did but nobody told you?
Coal train runs at whole grain, baby! Wow!
We fight through plenty of enemies within the Super Duper Mart, Snack Champion, and find some supplies. Now, I think these moments in games where they have one player not be able to shoot would have been a lot better with a co-op partner. This was back in the day that co-op mattered to developers, at least a little bit. Sometimes the friendly AI weren't the best. Regardless, we get the food rations, evac, and now Cole wants to continue through Lambent to find another warehouse, and maybe go to the stadium. Again, walking through these streets is a marvel. I'm baffled this came out in 2011. It looks so good. We meet our next new enemy, and I don't know what they're called, but they scare the shit out of me. These big boys not only throw their artillery at your cover, they'll Wesker you behind cover. If you know, you know. The combination of regular Lambent, the Lambent that turned into two fire-spitting heads, and now this big boy Lambent was making engagements much more dynamic, and it only gets better from here.
Stinking Lambent.
Jeez Louise, what the fuck?
Our squad gets to the next stranded checkpoint, and our boy Cole gets recognized. I love the consistency with the other games, since in the first Cole gets recognized at another stranded base, while Marcus and Dom find the tank. It has me thinking, if there were an apocalypse in our world, which sports star would you want to be paired up with? Walking throughout the settlement was eerie to say the least. Yes, people lived here, but no one seemed to be prospering. Plus, the only good sign they've gotten for a while is seeing Cole, since every stranded at least says hi to him. I wonder if all the cardboard cutouts of him laying around the camp have created like a pseudo-deity figure. Regardless, the stranded lead us to the COG's ammo supply, citing the COG left a lot of random stuff laying around, We get reports of someone shooting at our Ravens from a bridge, but that won't deter Cole from going to our final stop, Hanover Cougar Stadium. More Lambent appear, and the Stranded might be right that the cog attract them. And again, what a cool backdrop for an engagement. I love the sense of scale that the developers are playing with. The stadium is obviously gigantic, and then seeing the bridge towering behind it gives a great perspective. Another great moment is Cole and Baird arguing about sports leading up to the stadium. This is probably the most realistic dialogue, since I know my friends and I have disputed football games from 10 years ago too.
All Father's trophy, blind referee. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, he is a literal statue. This was an odd scene for me, since the perspective change into first person while Cole talks to his fans made me feel claustrophobic and uneasy for some reason. Did anyone else feel that? Pleasantries are cut short since stalks are now appearing within the stadium, and we take the top floor to take them out. What was I just saying about interiors minutes ago? Fighting through Hanover Stadium was a delight. You get enough open space to make it feel like a used area while also giving suitable cover that's plausible. Areas open due to enemy scripting, which makes the fights have this sense of longevity and intensity to them, which I quite liked. Our next cutscene has the squad finding the locker room, which is an extremely somber moment for Cole. This is the last place he remembers normalcy, a sense of belonging, pride. The last time he could don a helmet for sport rather than war.
Yeah, you're right about the smells lingering forever. Whew.
It's also heart-wrenching that he stays within the memory while stalks protrude from the ground, destroying the last untouched remnant of his life. We also get this brief sequence where you're running through Lambent, and out of all the things in this game, this didn't really do it for me. I thought it was a bit out of the place with a dream sequence to start the game and Cole's memories splicing into reality now. I understand what they're trying to do, but you can't just run into Lambent and blow them up because you're in memory mode.
Are you okay, Cole?
Ah! The train still got the moves, baby!
We get our distress call from Anya, or what we had experienced at the start of the game. I liked this approach and thought to myself how much they would use this type of storytelling. We meet up with the leader of the Stadium Stranded just for her to give us the usual cog suck, screw off mentality, and before we know it, more stalks are sprouting. One of the gameplay mechanics that resonated with me in Gears 2 was during the ending couple of levels, how the developers used verticality during engagements. This creates a different dynamic that the player doesn't feel that often during the more flat and horizontal arenas. Gears 3 has a couple of vertical moments that were perfect, and no matter how over the top this is, you can't not love rappelling to the bridge.
Come on! The line still reaches the bridge!
And that's our stop, so let's do this! Shut off while dangling from a cable? Yeah, that'll catch on! The ass-off championships!
After killing off the Lambent, we give the Stranded on the bridge a try, only to find out those aren't Stranded, they're Locust.
And to get back to our shit!
Hey! Those aren't Stranded! They're Locust!
Oh, great! Look who's back in town!
Not having played Gears 3, I was surprised this is how the Locusts were introduced. Some relic of their past self hiding out in the open on a bridge. Maybe things for them were as bad as us. Nevertheless, the squad advances onto the Locust position, and we get to see the interior of the bridge and the extent of the stocks within the ocean waters. Plus, witnessing the ship burning at all ends being besieged by this Leviathan sent a shiver down my spine. This is what was left of the cog? And the thrills don't stop there. As we near the tickers needed to kill off the Leviathan, a gas barge appears. It's in Gears 2 we see a beast barge, so this is another creature altered to transport the Locust. We'll get a more gruesome picture of the gas barge later, but already it's such a wonderfully twisted design. With the gas barge disposed of, we set the tickers on the creature and catch up to the present time.
Hey, I thought you'd enjoy the witty irony of grub on glowy violence. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. You're gonna blow up the whole ship, genius! Jump for it! No point! We're so dead! I suppose you want me to say I've always loved you. But I don't. I really, really don't.
Somehow, we survive falling hundreds of feet into metal and lambent water. But screw it, they get a pass. Also, the Locust might not be so down and out. Changing from the lambent to the Locust felt like a good change. Instead of stalks randomly coming out of everywhere, the Locust liked to do this neat little jump out of the ground. I thought it looked cool and made them easier to spot. I talked a lot about escalation in Gears 2 and how well the developers upped the ante when it came to encounters and narrative throughout the game. Gears 3 also does a great job of this, but in a slightly different way, with uncertainty. Seeing the ship wreckage made the effort of fighting both Lambent and Locust feel like a lost cause. How were just a couple of humans supposed to take on these evils? It goes back to the themes for this game specifically and how they evoke so much within the lens of the apocalypse and the end of humanity. I didn't feel that in either Gears 1 or 2, and we're only getting started. We find Marcus and Dom and are informed that Prescott was injured during the attack, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Prescott? What, do we got an echo here or something? Yeah, Prescott's back, Michelson's dead, and my father's alive. Film at 11.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We take back control of Marcus and make our way through these canyons to gain access to the Locust siege weapons that were satisfying to use. Since when you register a hit, it will go into this neat animation following your shot, which I enjoyed. The squad gets to Anya and Jace just to see Prescott losing blood like a piñata loses candy on my birthday. Before his lungs collapse, Prescott mentions a secret research base called Azura, that the Queen has taken control of it, and that we'll need to decode a holodisk Hoffman stole from Prescott years ago in order to get the coordinates for this damn place. Hoffman also resides at Anvil's Gate, seemingly thousands of miles away. Getting to him would be a feat within itself.
This is all I can recover.
I've tried to contact you over the years, but I've been held prisoner at Azura since Prescott abducted Azura. Keep your mind on the emulsion countermeasure. That's all that matters. I've been at Azura since Prescott abducted me from the estate. Prescott abducted me. Prescott abducted me.
Fucking Prescott! God damn him! So now what?
Now we go see Hoffman.
We decide to go on foot for the time being and end up finding the barge we shot down earlier from the bridge, which gives us the great idea of tracking other barges, making this trip a little bit easier. I applaud the level designers for going in multiple directions through the course of this game. The Deadlands offer a lot of new visuals for the Gears franchise and gives me a Mad Max feeling. We also meet another enemy type, a baby corpser, which is unsettling to say the least. Another great visual that enhances the world building was how the Locusts have adapted to their new territory. Whether that's the quarries helping excavate their tunnel systems or what they've already built onto and inside the mountains were extraordinary. It also brought another element of sadness since the Gears have been seemingly stagnant at sea and the Locusts seem to have really spruced up their joint. Add on to this the gigantic bones sticking out on the sand, reminding everyone that bigger creatures are indigenous to Sera. Going through the Deadlands was one hell of a time. The squad catches sight of one of the gas barges and continues their way in order to try to commandeer one, which continues the trope from Gears 2 of using Locust vehicle creatures. Baird informs us the gadget he pulled from the first gas barge was in fact a navigator core, and that he's reprogrammed it to get to Anvil's Gate. Baird is kind of awesome, even though he gets annoying at times. I like that he's the one that fixes everything, yet the squad gives him the most jokes. Before the next part, I do want to applaud the level designers again, and this won't be the last time, for how diverse each arena felt. I never thought I was going through the same doors to the same area once. Enemies flank consistently, making me use the whole swath of terrain, and there was so much to use. The developers really refined the cover system movement and time to kill, which made engagements feel unique. And talk about unique arenas, we slice and dice our way past more locusts, just to open up the doors to something's lair.
Do eggs freak you out too?
Going from heavy cover and tight corridors to literal open cave did not fill me with joy. You could tell something nefarious was going to happen.
Must be feeding time. Here's Mom.
I love the design of this ugly mother. There was some nice details that the designer added, like the corpser already having armored legs to deflect bullets, and their multiple eyes. What I like about seeing these aspects of the beast is that they're usually covered by the Locust's machinery. It just goes to show how much the Locusts have subjugated their own subspecies and how integral they are to their society. I for one would not want a job of putting on the headpiece on a corpser. Just me? Anyways, we take down the corpser's babies and eventually the mother in a decent boss fight, just to find ourselves seeing a familiar face.
It's him! Alert the fleet!
There are a couple of things in the Gears franchise that I don't rightly know how to feel about from a critical point of view. One of them is how the characters react to information, or their lack of reaction. Mira is pretty angry with us after we sank her city and possibly caused the apocalypse. Not only does she call out her guard to not let Phoenix out of their sight, but that every outpost from the Deadlands to Azura, wherever the hell that would be, is going to be on high alert. And Marcus says,
I got your number, bitch.
I mean, yes, badass, but no talk of the change of plan or even screaming a question about Marcus's father. Regardless, we continue and fight another new enemy type, the Digger. These guys were very annoying to deal with, but added a lot to the already awesome flow of combat. Diggers would shoot a grenade under the ground, passing cover and dealing a good amount of damage to whoever it touches. Finally, the squad makes it to the landing tower and we get another fantastic engagement with the Queen's Guard. This area had very little cover, and while being attacked not only from the air but also repelling enemies, there was a sense of desperation. We managed to defend the position and take control of one of the gas barges. Starting out this level flying over the Avangard plains was a spectacle, even if I had no idea where we were. And I guess that doesn't matter in this context. What does is that Sera is a gigantic world, and it's dying. Gears 3 does a great job at making the player feel like they're on a journey. Unlike Gears 1, where for example the transition to the Emulsion Factory is just a cutscene, Gears 3 shows you every bit of the rough road. I didn't start to feel that until the beginning of this level, and I wonder if anyone else felt like Marcus and company were stepping into Odysseus's or another legendary traveler's shoes. Quickly, another great detail from the art designers. Did you notice how the gas barges work? They've set up these claws that look like they poke the barge into moving, or I guess expelling gas. Honestly, it made me a little sad for these bloated flying monsters. We hear a large fight going on in the distance, and no frickin' way, it's Dizzy? Now, I do have a question about him, since the last time the squad saw him was when we were drilling into Landdown. Dizzy and Ty fought Scourge, and if Ty wound up in the Beast Barge, how did Dizzy escape? I don't think they talk about this at all, and I feel like this would cause some contention between him and Marcus. Dizzy even mentions the Scourge fight to no retort from anyone, which I found odd. We find the ammo Dizzy was looking for and fight our way back to the barge, only to be attacked by more locusts. This sequence works on so many levels. Not only do you have this awesome visual fighting against the other gas barges and reavers, but taking one down is so satisfying. It also feeds back into the narrative since we have witnessed locust troop movements below us, and they're headed straight for Hoffman, the holodisc, and probably the last bastion of the cog left. Gears 3 subverted my expectations. I wasn't ready for all this badass boss fighting. Seriously, fighting Mira a quarter into the game was thrilling and unexpected. Her bug creature has some crazy Godzilla light beam, and I like that the developers actually have us lose a battle.
It's got us! Hang on, we're going down!
Baird, any way we can slow this thing down?
Oh, it'll slow right down when we crash.
Oh, man. Everybody in one piece?
We make it out of the wreckage to be greeted by none other than the man himself, Hoffman. While riding back to the fort, we inform Hoffman about Azura, Phoenix's father being alive, and Prescott dying literally that day. But like most narrative points in the game, we have little time to talk. The Locust assault has begun. Defending the fort was one of my favorite levels in a third-person shooter ever. I loved having the high ground shooting at locusts below, but also fearing for our lives witnessing their full-on siege. I know the scenery seems vibrant, yet defending this bastion of humanity against so many locusts adds to the end of days trope, especially when they break through the lines of defense. Unfortunately, the Hammer of Dawn system is down because of some targeting problems, and we get pushed back to the garage. Luckily, we don't have to blow up the fuel tank, even though it played the animation of it dropping, and finally get to talk to Hoffman more in detail about what has happened in the last 24 hours. Oh wait, you're wrong.
It'll have to wait, Vic. Is anyone monitoring the radio net? It's Sam and Anya. They're pinned down outside the perimeter.
We're on it, Bernie. Come on, people, lock and load.
Somehow, Anya and Sam have gotten to Anvil's Gate and are in need of rescue. I give all the props in the world to the developers trying different mechanics out. It's one of the reasons why I think the Gears trilogy holds up so well, even if this driving sequence is super short.
Yo, Marcus, I see the ladies behind the pack wolf.
Look out! Dagger!
Wait, did he just kill that dude with his own arms? That's gnarly. We get Anya and Sam, but also encounter lambent stalks, which were startling after not experiencing them in the Deadlands.
Heads up!
Marcus! That don't look good!
Look out!
Alright, screw this berserker in the greatest way possible. If you have watched my Gears 1 retrospective, you know that the first encounter with the berserker scared me a little bit. Then in Gears 2, we don't have any interactions with them, thank God. So I wasn't expecting one to pop out of the stalk like that, and even more so, start this great boss fight.
Did we fry that bitch?
Looks that way.
What the hell?
Go on! Everybody get to the rear of the fort! Run!
I mean, What can I say about this design? It's like the Hulk and Ouroboros had an angry baby. Fighting the Lambent Berserker was difficult, not just because it was charging you and that's horrifying, but it had multiple phases like a Dark Souls boss. Yet the harder the boss, the better it feels to take it down.
Everybody down! She's gonna blow!
So, how was it for you?
Now that we finally have time to talk to other important characters, Baird cracks the holodisk and we get information on Azura research facility. The disc shows that Azura is on an island hidden by a maelstrom barrier, some artificial hurricane, and it's almost impossible to get there. Unless... Yeah, so apparently Dizzy knows how to fix and navigate a submarine? I guess that's the only way into Azura, and Dom suggests getting fuel for it at Mercy, which happens to be Maria's hometown and an emulsion pumping facility. Marcus sends Baird and Cole to find, I guess, other cogs or rations, and we hit the open road. See what I mean about switching mechanics? I absolutely adored this part, seeing the decaying stalks on massive highways, dusty fog covering a baking sun, and mowing down reavers left and right. You don't get much better direction than this. Then you pass through this abandoned city, and I could not be more impressed by the art direction and how the city looked distinctive compared to Jacinto or Lima. Add on to that this wild shootout with another corpser mother and a mad dash to the airport. This was a blockbuster movie. It was also interesting to see the skeletons of the planes laying on the tarmac. I know everything is bigger in this universe, but those planes are massive and shows you the kind of scale that was normal in the society before E-Day. Nothing has to be directly said about them for the visual to have an impact on the player. After pulling off a Fast and Furious takedown on a Brumac, we arrive at Mercy, and something is obviously wrong.
Dizzy, I thought you said this town was occupied.
Yeah. It was busier than a fiddler's elbow a few months ago.
People don't abandon a fuel depot for no reason.
Dizzy tries the gas, but the pump has been shut off, and we shift into a more horror-styled level. Each Gears has one or two of these more thematic missions, where the pacing is a bit slower and we get more of the character's story.
So when were you last here, Dom?
15 years. Maria's family, they're buried near the church. I wanted to bury her and the kids here too, but...
I'm glad Dom can open up a little bit about Maria, even if it's tragic. We move into the town and my suspicion meter goes up tenfold. Whenever there are bombs placed on pipelines and red X's on people's doors, some sickness is afloat. The abandoned town keeps on being spooky as we displace the charges, and I love how distinct this village is with its architecture. You'll notice that even the unique building facades, the physical cog is present in a lot of areas, signifying some sort of nationalism or authoritarianism. Not long after defusing the bombs, the squad sees our first resident of Mercy, and he's kind of cuckoo.
Get your hands off those goddamn charges!
Did you rig the pipeline? You want to blow this place up?
Yeah! I gotta stop this thing from spreading! Just let me get on with the job!
What thing? You got an epidemic?
How the hell should I know what it is?
Okay, maybe we should be a little worried. Of course our paths lead us to an even more spooky sewer and a grim surprise.
Ma'am, are you okay?
After all you've seen, Marcus, why would you ever go close to that?
What happened? What the hell?
These Lambents! It spread to humans!
Oh Christ, Lambent humans were not on my bingo card. These guys were horrifying and reminded me of zombies from Left 4 Dead. Not only is the concept of a Lambent human horrifying to the squad, we're really hoping Adam Phoenix has something to stop all this. I want to point out the ambient music in the courtyard and how it accompanies the visuals perfectly as well. It gives me a Fallout 1 or 2 vibe. We defend against more lambent humans and get rescued by this random guy.
Are you feeling okay?
Fine, so far. But he's not looking too good.
Is this how it starts?
Yeah, you seen this before? Because this ain't just rustling.
Again, why would you even get close to... Wait, that's kind of hilarious. Gears 3 rarely stops for long, and just seeing the lambent humans burst through the window was so over the top that I had to laugh in a good way. The squad realizes the pipeline was rerouted to the church, and while making our way there, come upon a place of great importance.
Maria. Baby, I'm sorry I couldn't bring you home. But you're with the kids now. That's home, yeah? I'll see you all again one day. Look, Marcus is busy saving the world again, so I gotta be there for him. Sleep tight, sweetheart.
Jesus, I cried during this scene while playing, while writing, and probably will in editing too. You can tell Dom wants to be with Maria and the kids, but also has such a loyalty to Marcus and their mission that he is conflicted on what to do. Regardless of being conflicted, I think Dom makes a choice in the moment where he gives his knife to Marcus. Remember this weapon, it will check off later. We get the gas pumping and head back to the truck. Unfortunately, the tanker is leaking and Locusts are inbound. Fighting against the Queen's Guard with their hooks plus Lambent appearing out of nowhere was thrilling and overwhelming. Then we get this cutscene. I won't lie, I was angry I couldn't do anything for Dom. To get overrun during the gameplay and then sit and watch this tragedy unfold was something else.
Marcus! He's gone! He's gone! There's nothing you can do! Stop
Get
it!
off me! God
Stop
damn it! Let me get him out of there!
It's okay, Marcus. It's okay. Come on. We gotta go now. Your father still needs us.
Dom.
Watching Marcus try to reach Dom hurt so much. These two people that have gone through the worst in life and the best, sharing pain and triumph together in so many situations, ends like this. Anya also says to Marcus, "It's okay," which echoes what Marcus said to Dom after finding Maria. Also, seeing Marcus's sad eyes looking into the fiery inferno was devastating. And even if his character doesn't talk openly a lot, you know this hits hard. Instead of just throwing you back into the action, I enjoyed how Act 4 starts driving into Char, a city deliberately targeted by Hammer of Dawn strikes, turning the place into ash and ruin. It also gives a great contrast between the solo death of Dom and the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. both holding their own pain and sorrow. Dizzy informs us that they are stranded still in this apocalyptic nightmare, and even Marcus says the squad doesn't need to tiptoe around Dom's sacrifice. We're still in need of fuel to power the hypothetical submarine, but all I could think of was this architecture and the art design this level employs. If the previous highway city didn't get your sci-fi mega city jimmies in a tussle, this will. Add on humans still stationary in their final moments before the Hammer of Dawn strikes, you have yourself one hellscape of a dystopia.
Shit, man, look at them. They were running for their lives.
And they've lasted all these years.
Yeah. It's a mass grave, people. Let's show what respect we can.
How could you not compare these motifs and visuals with other great apocalyptic games, especially since Gears uses a unique weapon of mass destruction? I've never heard of Gears even being talked about in the same sphere of games, which I think is a disservice. We continue through this mass grave and just look at the movement in these ashen corpses. It is beyond unsettling. There's also some sort of ghost man running around setting off traps, which I didn't really think was engaging. I was still starstruck by the vista we were getting around us. After passing through said traps and defeating a bit of Lambent, we meet our ghost person, and geez, he's covered with ash. That's people, right?
Look, all we want is fuel, and then we'll go. Is this Griffin willing to trade?
Well, lady, he might want to do business with you.
Just take us to see him, little man. Now.
After convincing the stranded to let us up, he brings up that the Cog were the ones that Hammer have dawned the city into the Stone Age. I'm assuming this is when it was humans at war with other humans. Sam tells him to shut up, but I think he has a point. I would be angry too if the people that worked for the organization that murdered hundreds of thousands of people showed up at my door years later. He also talks about his boss Griffin, who apparently has some sort of fuel monopoly going on these rooftops. These rooftops were visually interesting for a couple of reasons. Seeing the city from above was striking, and the cable car travel system gave it a unique flair.
Mr. Griffin, sir, these car guys showed up and they did a great job on the glowies. Now they want some fuel.
What the fuck are you doing bringing the Cog here, into my city?
I instantly recognized that voice. That's motherfucking Ice-T, and he kills it with this Griffin character.
So welcome to Griffin Tower, Cog. It was here before you destroyed Char, and it's still standing now. And so am I. Got some nerve coming around here asking for favors, motherfuckers.
Side note, more good voice actor celebs need to be in games again. The 2000s was rife with them, and I feel like we've pulled away.
You know the first rule of business, Mr. Phoenix?
Remind me.
It's what's in it for me. You need fuel, so do I. Ironic seeing as how I built an empire on it. So you get my fuel back, and I'll let your punk ass keep some.
Anyways, Griffin is not happy to see the Cog in the slightest, and has taken Dizzy as a hostage, while we grab the fuel for both of us in another tower. Well, I thought the inner city was horrifying enough, but as you exit, making your way to the fuel tower on foot, you can see the true target trajectory of the dawn strikes. I'm assuming lots of buildings were in this now canyon. Could you imagine that? Seeing a strike the size of a football field doing lines across a metropolis? Seeing the remnants of it brought chills to my spine, and even the notion that Anya was there for that moment of ignition is wild, and something I couldn't imagine on my conscience. And I respect Gears for showcasing these themes and aspects without overdoing it. For as over the top the action in Gears is, the storytelling and character building is nuanced and meaningful. The squad manages to make it to the fuel tower, but it seems like the crew have disappeared, and we get this great defense sequence while elevators open with lambent humans. I was really impressed with the art design as well of the building interior. It made me think of BioShock a little bit, but that just might be the Art Deco. Getting to the roof finds the squad with another dilemma. The cable car has a safety cable. Whoa, who would have thought OSHA was alive and well? I tried out the cleaver at this point and didn't get it. Shooting felt much more satisfying, and only having 12 charges made it feel a bit underwhelming. With the cable car released, we start heading back to Griffin. Eek, Mira's found us again with her queen bug, and we make our way to Griffin and Dizzy, but not without the Locusts trying their best to take us down. Escalation be thy name, fighting off the Queen's Guard in this little shack of a cable car was sick, especially crossing over the Ravine of Death. I haven't even talked about the music in this game. The chorus with Gregorian chants is mesmerizing. The strings and percussion fill you with energy as you take on the guard. It's glorious.
Griffin, we got your goddamn fuel. We're done.
You're done? They're fucking dead! My people are all dead! We survived hammer strikes, the grubs, the whole damn war, and then you show up and I lose fucking everybody! You fucking cog bastards! Everywhere you go, everything you do, it's always nothing but death, pain, and miseries, you piece of shit motherfucker!
I mean, Griffin also has a point. Wherever we go, death follows. Marcus gets angry at Griffin for being understandably angry, and Griffin has this line while exiting stage left.
We'll settle this shit another time, Phoenix. You can count on that, bitch.
Do we ever see him again? Isn't Gears 4 set like 20 years in the future? Does he come after Marcus's kid? Or is it just like an anime villain getting ridden off? Oh yeah, submarine. Honestly, these two detours have really put us in a pickle, and finding the submarine to get to Marcus's dad seems a bit out of reach now, but we'll see where we go. Are they going to ever explain why the Queen looks human, or why her guards respond in English? Yes! So the Queen knows our every step as we make it to the dry dock. This was a great level, from enemy placement to the area itself. You know I love world building through level design. Just like how we saw the skeletons of planes in the airport, seeing the previous manufacturing capabilities of the COG are impressive. The squad encounters another new enemy type, some sort of centipede that requires you to focus their glowy backs. Visually, I found these a bit odd, and they didn't feel like they added anything to the combat, more that they were a nuisance to deal with. We open the next dry dock door, and lo and behold, find our submarine. What an interesting design, but it's missing a couple of things which we have to fight through a shit ton of locusts to get to. Fighting through the dry docks made me realize how much I love the chemistry of this game. I was just having so much fun. No thoughts about complicated systems or tedious button mashing. Everything was catered to the experience of engagement. I was zoned in. It also helps when the interiors keep delivering. One of my favorite arenas in this zone was fighting through the semi-constructed boat. We managed to grab both components needed to get the sub running, and now have to escort the transport to the water. I really enjoyed this moment as well, since it reminded me of attacking the Queen's Chambers in Gears 2, that long narrow hallway with harsh resistance. We fight more of the Queen's Guard Special Forces, who I think require some sort of explosive to put them in a weakened state, which posed a problem for me. Nevertheless, we flood the area and lower the submarine, but before we go on our oceanic journey, Anya gets a call from Cole.
Cole here!
Cole, this is Anya. We've got the submarine running.
A sub! Ha ha! That's Baird's favorite kind of toy! But you got to see what we found, baby! Whoa!
Cole, please.
Anya, you don't sound right. You got trouble?
We're heading for Azura now. We'll rendezvous with you outside the Maelstrom. Might take us some time.
Oh yeah, we'll be there with some backup too.
Watch your six, Cole. Anya out.
Man, I've lost both my parents, but I couldn't imagine losing one of my friends. Seeing Anya struggling so much over the phone shows us how powerful and depressing Dom's sacrifice was for the squad and for the player. Someone was talking on the subreddit about this very topic 2 days ago, and they said it perfectly. That after Maria's death, Dom was living for Marcus, not for himself. Lost at sea with no purpose, surviving, not living. Specifically in Dom's eyes, surviving for what? Since he wants to be reunited with the kids and Maria. I think the squad recognizes that fact after his death, and taking responsibility for telling Cole and Baird in person was the right thing to do, even if Anya wishes she could tell them now. These moments hit all the emotional chords, since the player has been with Dom and Marcus since the start of the first game. Hell, Dom breaks you out of prison and has always believed in Marcus, but I couldn't dwell on that crippling sadness since we get an underwater sequence I've dreamed of.
Jacinto probably looks just like this now. Yeah, we did that to ourselves, too.
Well, there's no point crying over what we could have done differently, because we'll never know.
Again, I love the fact that Gears 3 doesn't just black screen travel you everywhere. You actually traverse through these areas, even in cutscenes show the squad in motion and gives the adventure a more tangible feel. Add onto this visualization with commentary and you get this somber yet beautiful silent grave, showcasing how foobarred this world is. I know I talked about small details a lot, but this is why. They add up to something more than their parts. At this point in playing, I didn't want it to stop. Gears 3 at each progression point was more enjoyable than the last level. I also was never able to figure out what came next.
Everybody, quiet. You hear that?
God, it sounds like an earthquake. That's weird.
Dizzy, hit the lights.
Whoa, that was close!
Like a full-on Rails fight with underwater creatures, and then this boss fight? Hell yes! Fighting this monster fish was such a fun fight, even if it felt like I wasn't doing any damage until the end. The minefield not only gave us some good cover, but it shows the extent of the Pendulum Wars, since I'm assuming these mines were there to protect the city that was sunk, and just the number of mines is absurd. We have this epic spat with the mutant fish and narrowly escape, just to find the Maelstrom, and somehow the artificial hurricane affects the underwater too.
Marcus, the current's getting a lot stronger. I can feel the control. Sorry, Marcus, I lost her. Oh, shit on a stick. We got mines in here with us. Okay, Marcus, I think we're through.
Nice job, Dizzy. Thanks.
Some quick moves and evading torpedoes gets us to Azura, and oh boy, was I excited for this.
What the hell?
Those bastards, they've killed the cities.
So the government shipped people out here? Nice of Prescott to keep us in the loop.
Yeah, the important folks that were worth saving. Well, we weren't.
Didn't save them though, did it?
Damn, this game does not let up. Rising into a secretive government lab protected by an artificial hurricane just to have civilian and scientific bodies floating down making the water blood red was quite the look. I was also eager to get answers, some I've had since the first game. Dizzy leaves us at the docks and brings the sub back underwater while we investigate the area. We're trying to find the Maelstrom generator and turn it off so the rest of the cog, that being Cole, Baird, and whoever else they found along their way, could get to our position. One mechanic I didn't understand throughout this game is the stealth function. There were about 3 times that the Locust did not see us at first, and evidently the game wanted you to somehow stealth the area. I failed in the quarry back in Chapter 3, so I tried to pull it off here, but to no avail. If you enjoyed the interior architecture of anything you've seen so far, Azura takes it up a level, and it works so well. Not only was the research facility hidden to the public and most of COG, but it also doubled as the elite's hideout. Lavish with all these amenities. I mean, hell, they have a working train system. Or, once working. We kill off the welcoming party and get a radio call from Adam Phoenix deep within the facility.
Anya, is that you? This is Adam Phoenix. Can you hear me?
Professor! Yes, we hear you.
Anya? Oh, you've changed.
Oh my god, old man. Adam Phoenix explains that he is in some sort of hotel on the island and needs more time to enact his countermeasure against the Lambent. For all of the hushed tones around Marcus and Adam's relationship, it seems less tense than I had anticipated. We also get this bit of lore that Mira and Adam Phoenix have been working together in some capacity in order to kill off the Lambent, but not the Locust. At this point, Adam thinks whatever his invention is will kill both, and that will be brought up later and brings its own freaking questions. But the biggest piece of information is that the emulsion, the energy fuel humanity fought for 80 years, has infected the Locust and is an actual living organism, or parasite. This was a cool plot twist that adds so many more questions than it answers. For now, we get the good old "there's no time" trope and continue on through the tropical island. Since the weather really was dreadful with the Maelstrom operational, I couldn't not laugh at the thought that all these executives and snobby scientists thinking they were getting paradise got this. Just me? A+ again for wildly different areas throughout this game, all feeling put together and interesting. Think about it, we've gone from boat to stadium, gas barge to Mad Max roadsters, all the way to the frickin' submarine. Is that not awesome? Oh man, you can tell when you really get to the rich suites. Hosting leather couches and artwork. We get to the generator room as well for the Maelstrom device and have to turn off the switches, which doesn't work. We're then sent to shut off the switches to the coolant, which in my expert knowledge of coolant systems through my gaming career, big boy gonna blow up. This was a great combat sequence and gave the player a lot to think about. You have enemies taking cover far off in the windows, and you'll have to deal with enemies on your platform as well. This part also incorporates verticality, making your way down the stairs while also taking fire from all sides was jarring and really put you to the test. With the coolant shut off, the Maelstrom does in fact blow up, and I love the achievements that pop up.
Look at that. Instant summer.
They are a great way of connecting with the player's experience, and oh boy, does that sun look good.
It's a Gorazny ship.
Yeah, we having a reunion with our old indie buddies, baby. Time for a grab stuff and party. You ready to roll? Whoa!
Yeah, let's do it.
Bros, I was pumping my fists screaming fuck yes at this point. I was so happy that Cole and Baird had found some semblance of human firepower, and the fact that we were going to get some air support finally was a great feeling. But not all of this was happy.
Where's Dom and Dizzy?
Dizzy's taking the submarine offshore. Dom didn't make it.
Oh, fuck no.
The pacing here is so well done. We get our chance to tell Baird and Cole about Dom's sacrifice, and we get our leader Marcus saying that Dom's death got us to where we are now. And most importantly, we gotta finish this fight for everyone. It's a great setup and has my eyes glued to the frickin' screen. As I watched the 1000th King Raven of my military career go up in flames, I couldn't help but notice how beautiful this area was. What a cool contrast to the hurricane we saw previously. Now, I don't know if there's any validity to this thought, but I thought I noticed the same women's statue appear in Mercy as it does here. I'm sure there's some religion in this world, and I liked it for the world building, even if we don't get too much info on it. I also feel like games' endings nowadays feel stale or have less energy than the enticing beginning. This did not. Taking down Grub AA just to use it against the gas barges is some World War II thinking, and once we clear the landing zones, all forces were a go. Entering the hotel portion was another visual masterpiece and narrative one as well. Could you imagine being Marcus, Cole, Baird, or any of them having fought through the muck and the mire to now know that the people they were fighting under were lavishly throwing parties and hanging out at the Ritz? This would break my world. Maybe for them it doesn't, since a lot of the folks have been mutilated already by the Locust, but still. Okay, last time I'll talk about the visuals, but can we not applaud the designers on this 300-esque tree? The Locusts really have shown us throughout Gears 2 and 3 that they torture their victims, and this is no different. I was kind of astonished seeing this beautiful room and then the corpses hanging from it. We also get a brief line about how Adam's lambent death machine works, that it targets the lambent cells of any organic creature, which if I'm not mistaken, we have some within us since we've been near emulsion a lot. We'll deal with it when we get there. We continue fighting our way up to Marcus's father's hotel room with some of the best firefights in the series. Seriously, they killed this last part. Going from tight corridor battle to an open 13th floor cantilevered garden shootout was spectacular. But of course, it's never easy for us gears.
Ah, shit! Phoenix to rescue. The stalks have shown up. You got a visual on us?
They're appearing everywhere, Phoenix. Stand by. We are diverting a Raven to your position. Just get your father's weapon deployed and finish this.
With all this excitement, there are still a lot of questions at hand. Like, how does Adam Phoenix know the Queen? Is the emulsion a hive mind or some parasite trying to find food? How much did the Cog know about the Locust before E-Day? We also have to reiterate to Baird that the emulsion is a living thing and it's about to kill everything on this planet. We fight more locusts and lambent, ascending our way to the pinnacle of this huge hotel. Like, damn, this would have cost an arm and a leg on TripAdvisor. There's also this elevator sequence that I cannot understate how awesome playing through it was. Not only are you defending your own lift, but you can shoot at the Queen's Guard climbing on the other, which was a great moment. I was a little disappointed by every dialogue between Marcus and his father, who hints at so much and then goes, "We don't have time to talk." Like, bitch, you can talk to me on open comms while we're blasting our way to you. Oh, of course. Mira's appearances throughout Gears 3 were pretty awesome, even if I wish I could just sit her down and interview her for like 30 minutes.
Marcus, I gave your father nearly 20 years to deal with the Lambent. He will deal with it, but not at my people's expense.
Marcus says not to listen to anything the Queen says, but if she has known Adam for 20 plus years, Baird is right. That was way before E-Day and something isn't adding up. I do feel for Mira in a way. No matter how the emulsion started infecting her people, whether that was the human drilling or just the natural cycle, humans would try everything to save their race. Why not the Locusts do the same for theirs? And it kind of sucks if Adam tried for 20 years to find a way to split the Lambent from the Locusts to no effect. And they killed Dom, so honestly, she could just get fucked. The squad gets the bright idea to drop the ball on the Queen. I thought it was kind of silly since I forgot my Lancer and had to punch the cord 3 times. Take that. But we can't confirm the kill because stalks appear and we take a detour.
Okay, I really need to know what Mira was yapping about. She knew your dad before E-Day? How? I mean, she looks human. Did she join the Locust Country Club for shits and giggles or something?
I'm with Baird 100% again. And I kind of fault the game for not going a little bit more into the characters theorizing for themselves about all these possibilities. We finally get to the top level and find more locusts, comically big cigars, and luckily Marcus's father.
Marcus, Anya, it's good to see you again. I never thought I would. I'm so sorry about Dom.
Hard to know where to begin, Dad.
Yes. I always wondered what I'd say to you if I ever saw you again. But we always run out of time. I might have found a way to save the Locust as well, and they could have gone back underground.
Tell me you don't feel sorry for them.
Responsible, not sorry. It's my fault they're here, Marcus. I failed to stop the emulsion spreading all those years ago. It drove the Locust out of their warrens. I tried to persuade Mira to keep her people underground, but they couldn't. So then...
Wait. Did I hear right? The government knew E-Day was coming, and none of you bothered to warn us?
No, just me. Even Prescott didn't know. Not until much later.
Well, that was a lore drop, and still, I'm confused how Adam even got into contact with the Queen, how no one knew of E-Day except for him, and what was in the disc he gives Baird.
Look at this later and try to understand what I wanted to do and what I had to do.
Because I don't think they bring it up at all, unless I'm missing some DLC or extra. We also get this amazing lore piece on emulsion itself and made me go, oh shit. You ever watch a TV show the first time and then when you hit the twist, rewatching the same episodes has new meaning? Yeah, this was pretty similar and gave all 3 games an even crazier context. Plus, the line that Adam doesn't know if the emulsion was indigenous to Sera or was introduced somehow during human history is startling and makes it sort of have an alien-type feeling to it. Stalks are everywhere as we try to load the Lambent kill disc. I have no idea what we're in for, an FEV FAT, a Project Purity pod. What we get is a neat contraption at the top of this hotel, but was this built with the intention of deploying this Lambent killer, or was this built during Adam's imprisonment? Oh Christ, Carmine, what?
Cover me! I can reach the device now!
Heads up, it's Sera! No! I will not allow this! Stop!
Eat dirt and die, motherfucker! Take that, you bitch! Oh, shit! We're on fire! We're on fire!
Carmine!
This was a great final battle. Taking shots at Mira while also fighting off her Queen's Guard was exhilarating. The arena had a great visual aesthetic to it, but I would have loved for some more cover, especially against the bug's light beam. Nonetheless, with a couple of hammer strikes, we take her down.
It'll be at full power soon.
Professor, you said you tested this. How?
On myself, Damon. I had to see how the emulsion developed over its life cycle. So I injected myself with it to accelerate things.
Oh my god.
Dad, we saw what it did to humans in Mercy.
It started.
Let's go, Dad. This tower's too unstable now.
I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm not going to make it.
It's okay. I'll carry you.
Marcus, the emulsion developed faster in me because I forced it to. I had to find out how it reproduced.
What are you talking about?
Why don't we ever have time to talk?
No. You are not going to die.
It's too late, Marcus. Every cell in my body's breaking down. And this is going to happen to every contaminated cell on Sera. It has to.
No, goddammit, I can't lose you again.
I'm glad I was able to see you again, Marcus. Now go and live for me.
Holy shit.
Dad, no. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone.
Hubris.
Hold your fire.
Ah, so pious and moral, even now.
Is that what you think?
Your father always thought he had all the answers, but he had none. Nothing but clever ways to kill. The Hammer of Dawn, Jacinta, and now this. And his arrogance finally killed him.
Feel that?
Oh.
That's from Dom. And everyone else you killed, you bitch.
Out of all the brutal fatalities Marcus has pulled off, that might be the most satisfying kill. Well, shit, I literally cannot believe how good this ending was. Seeing the waves killing off Lambent and Locust throughout all the areas we fought through was excellent. We finally won and it felt so freaking good. This was a blockbuster ending to a fantastic original trilogy. Gears 1 through 3 did so many things right in all areas of their games that I have to put it in my top 10 franchises of all time. Even if some of the characters don't have long dialogue chains or books written about them, there was always a connection with the stories that they went through. Seeing Marcus finally take off his armor and getting to rest made me feel at peace. It also reminded me of so many times where he couldn't take off his armor. It was a great moment for the character, and to have Anya by his side who can parse through the horrors of what has happened and the beauty of what will happen is a poignant end.
Marcus, whatever it takes, I'm here.
What's left, Anya? What have we got left now?
Tomorrow, Marcus. We finally got a tomorrow.
So, what comes next? We've killed the Locust and the Lambent, COG elites are dead, and maybe we have a chance at a good society. I looked at what the next Gears games talk about slightly since I didn't want to spoil too much. Judgment, I guess, is a prequel with Baird and Cole, while Gears 4 follows Marcus and Anya's child. I wonder what the conflict will be in 20 years. I would have to assume the Locust and Lambent somehow survived this, but I wouldn't wish that for Adam's sacrifice to be in vain. Regardless, I still have so many questions, and I told you they never talk about that disc Adam gives Baird. There must be more on the sidelines or in other media, and I'd love to get some clarity from the wonderful people that have watched up until this point. I love these games so freaking much. Not only were 1 and 2 great trips back into nostalgia for me, but Gears 3 truly blew my socks off and would make other games pale in comparison if released now. I also got to witness the evolution of a game franchise. The developers and people that dedicated their time and lives to these games deserve so much credit. Making a world that feels worthy of saving isn't easy. It's built on world building, character development, art design, gameplay mechanics, all working in tandem to create a narrative for the player which enthralls them. Gears 3 does that every step of the way. I never felt like I was bored, wanted something else, or needed a break, even if my eyes told me I did. Gears deserves a full remaster, and I hope that the franchise is not lost to time, even though rumors seem more prevalent than tangible news. What are your thoughts on the Gears franchise and Gears 3 in particular? What were your favorite parts, or was there anything you really didn't enjoy? Please let me know in the comments down below. And that's that. I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to the next Gears game that I cover. All the best, and see you next time.
We've got a submarine to find.